Go. Good evening. My name is Master Sergeant James Spear. I go by Jay. This evening, for this week's enlisted professional development session, I've decided to go over operational art and the 3 levels of war. These are important topics for us to understand as non-commissioned officers and educate our subordinates and mentor our officers on. We must remain dedicated to our profession and continue to educate ourselves on the fundamentals while also broadening our understanding of complex processes. Before starting this professional development, I want to bring understanding to why I see that this is important. Getting started in my Army career, I spent several years on a gun team. I learned every aspect of each job, starting at the ammo bearer, then progressed to the gunner, ultimately becoming the assistant gunner. Over those formative years, I've developed a mastery of employment by understanding the science of the gun. However, where I became critical was when I understood how to employ my gun team to its greatest effect, and that was the art. I didn't know that then, but I know those concepts now. The Army utilizes the acronym SOSRA, which is suppress, obscure, secure, reduce, and assault, to describe the requirements required to achieve a breach. First, I must separate art and science by explaining their differences and how they supplement each other. To generate discussion and a shared understanding, I'll be utilizing the example of a machine gun team and their evolution culminating with a certifying exercise. At the conclusion of this instruction, I would like to discuss similarities that you might see with other collective actions that can be utilized as an example for differentiating between art and science. The art of talking guns. This is a symphony of violence where 2 gun teams can communicate over distance to suppress and reduce a target's ability to provide accurate fire on a maneuvering element. Now, where they are located, how they get to that location, and the tools they utilize once in position is subjective. Their understanding of the mission and their capabilities are forged in the crucible of training prior to that certification. They can start at any point in collective training, and it's important to recognize that journey has no end. They'll continue to train and grow, learning each other's nonverbal communication. Like art, this is a subjective picture. It's a beautiful weapon of war to a friend, or a sinister tool of suffering to a foe. Science. Science is best described as a linear journey with a clear starting point and finishing point that provides us with an understanding of the entirety. The machine gun team is a human machine built with several components consisting of your gunner, assistant gunner, and ammo bearer. They must be taught the fundamentals individually. Their individual development must begin with an understanding of the weapon and mastering of the individual tasks. Ultimately, they are trained and certified first as individuals, and that is rooted in a clear path through a scientific approach. Art does not exist without science. There are 2 different components that rely on each other to paint the overall picture. Science is the linear individual training of the components that consist of the gun team. Art puts those pieces together in any way, at any point, to complete the overall picture. Now let's transition to the levels of war and where you fit within those functions, and understanding that is crucial. The levels are divided into 3 functions: strategic, operational, and tactical. You should find these terms familiar, as each one of those functions does have an echelon of command related, but it's important to remember that they are not synonymous. The strategic level can best be described as the decision-making level. The decision to act or not to act at this level. To help understand where this relates, let's look at the 4-star echelon of command. They are choosing to fight the right war, campaign, or battle. Their time frame for implementation is measured in years to months and decades. The operational level, think planning, answering the what's, what problem, what solution, what objective, what are the actions and tasks, when and where. This is related in echelon to the 3 to 4-star level. I like to think core, and its time frame for implementation is weeks and months. Ultimately, we get to the tactical level. It's where the metal meets the meat, and it is related at echelon to a 2-star level command. Think division and below. This time frame for implementation now is counted in mere hours and days. The commander at this level is engaged with the operations, logistics, personnel, and getting the mission done. This is where our machine gun team is painted on the canvas of battle through operational art. Operational art is thinking, it's conceptual, and it is about visualizing solution and actions to find a solution. It precedes detailed planning. What do you want done is operational thinking, while what you want is done is called detailed planning. In summary, operational art is at all levels of war, existing at varying degrees of applicability. The gun team's operational art is not within its drills, actions, and TTPs. Its art is within the commander's head, at one level and positioning itself at another. Now that we have a shared understanding, let's discuss further examples of operational art at varying levels of war that you might have experienced.